Hello everyone, welcome to the press conference for Twice Born. Just a few points before we begin. No flash photography during the press conference, but as the talent enters the room, feel free to take photographs from your seats, but once the press conference begins, only the 6 accredited photo agencies are allowed to take photographs. TIFF will make photos from this press conference available on the media site within 24 hours. We do have volunteers with microphones to handle your questions, so when you ask your question, please remember to identify yourself and your media outlet. Make sure your cell phones are turned off. And our moderator for this session is Henri Behar. And it's now my pleasure to welcome the director, screenwriter, cast of the film Twice Born. Thank you.
Buongiorno.
Hello everyone and welcome to the press conference for Twice Born. For those who have not seen the film, and I'm thinking particularly of the television audience and the cyber audience, this is the story of a woman, Gemma, played by Miss Penelope Cruz, who goes back to Sarajevo 18 years after the siege, with her son, Pietro, played by Pietro Castellitto. They're in search of his past, and particularly his father, an American photographer, Diego, played by Mr. Emil Hirsch. They are welcomed into Sarajevo by a poet, Gojko, Mr. Adnan Haskovic. And there's another woman who belongs to the past and may resurface in the present. She's a Muslim. She is a rebel. She's Aska. She's Sadet Aksoy. Sorry. This is based on a novel that was written a few years ago. Sorry, by, as the poster says, Margaret Mazzantini. She also wrote the script, and the man who put it all together, director Sergio Castellitto. Welcome to you all.
Grazie.
And I went as fast as I could. Ms. Mazzantini, you wrote the novel, and I would assume you did an extensive amount of research. In the production notes, it says, this is a fiction. Yet it doesn't seem to be a fiction at all. Is it a combination of cases that you discovered?
See, probably it's too difficult for me in English because it's not. I'm half Irish, but it's better in Italian. So someone can translate.
Yeah. I'll try.
Yeah. What's the question, sir?
Okay.
Dice che è una combinazione di storie
sì, reali e non.
inventate.
Ok, sì, yes. Sì, in realtà sono partita da una storia intima, come sempre nei miei libri. Una storia d'amore e soprattutto di una donna che non riesce ad avere un figlio, una donna che è una donna evoluta, un intellettuale, una donna che va a Sarajevo nell'84 la prima volta per una ricerca su Andrić, sul grande scrittore Andrić, e lì incontra l'amore della sua vita, che è Diego, che nel film è recitato da Emil, però da questa grande storia d'amore in realtà loro non riescono ad avere figli. In realtà si scopre che lei è sterile e questa donna in realtà diventa come un animale preistorico, cioè incomincia a inseguire come un cane famelico quest'osso che è questo figlio che non riesce ad avere, e alla fine, come dire, lo troverà nell'assedio di Sarajevo.
Okay, yes, I started with an intimate story, which is what I always do with my books. It's a love story. It's about a woman who doesn't have a child. She's an evolved woman. She's a very intellectual woman. She's looking for a child. She wants to have a child. And she goes to Sarajevo in 1984 for the first time. She goes there because she's conducting a research on the writer Andrić. And there she meets Diego, played by Emil, of course. And there a love story blossoms between them, but they discover that they cannot have any children because she is sterile. And she's kind of like a prehistoric animal. She's a famished animal seeking her bone, quote unquote, which is her obsession with having children. And she finds this child in the siege of Sarajevo.
Sì, voglio aggiungere una cosa, e io ho iniziato a scriverlo, ho iniziato a pensare la prima volta a questo libro nel 91, quando è cominciato tutta la guerra nell'ex Jugoslavia, e io aspettavo il mio primo figlio che era Pietro, e quindi c'è stato, come dire, c'era questo strappo molto forte tra il fatto, come dire, tra tutta la speranza che avevo come donna, eccetera, come madre, e il fatto che invece in televisione cominciassimo a vedere, perché quella fu una guerra veramente che abbiamo visto molto in televisione, e queste immagini terribili, tutti questi profughi, queste immagini terribili, e tutto ciò accadeva a poche miglia di mare, appunto dal nostro benessere, dalla nostra pace, dai nostri divani. E io avevo questa piccola vita, insomma credo che quello sia stato il primo. Poi il libro l'ho scritto dopo molti anni.
Yes, I started writing the book around 1991, which is around the time that the war in former Yugoslavia began. I was expecting my child, Pietro, who's right here, and I noticed the brutal dichotomy between my sense of hope as a mother, as a woman, in expecting my child, and of course the atrocious brutality of war, watching these images on television of refugees, of people suffering and being killed, who were dying just a few miles from our idyllic, peaceful life in Italy. And then it took me a few years to actually work on the book and complete it.
Then the question might go to Pietro. Considering what your mother just said, did you have any problem playing the part, or did you say that's exactly the part I should not play?
Il personaggio si chiamava Pietro ed era scritto da mia madre, quindi diciamo me lo sentivo abbastanza vicino. E poi peraltro io ho letto il libro mentre giravo il film, e quindi ho scoperto la trama del libro strada facendo. Ad esempio ho saputo che Emil, che Diego non era mio padre a film iniziato, perché? E quindi tante cose.
È come Pietro del libro che non sa la sua vera origine.
Yes, my character Pietro, of course, was written by my mother, so I felt very close to him. And then what happens is I actually read the book while we were shooting the film, so I discovered the plot of the story along the way while the shooting was continuing, and I found out that Emil, Diego, is actually not my father while we were filming. And Margaret said, just like the character himself. So there was a lot of turmoil while we were shooting and playing this character.
I think we have a question here, the gentleman in the second row. If you give him the mic, please.
Hello, Juan Carlos Garcia from Mexico City. This question is for Penelope. You're portraying a lady that wants to become a mother. She can't not. Right now you are a mother. How motherhood affected in your life and in your career for choosing roles, for performing or portraying this character? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I knew the book like 2 years before we were making the movie. 2 years before I became a mother, I read the book and I really connected with it, and I really understood this woman, even if I had never been in the situations that she had been in, but I connected to the level that I could not stop thinking about her, that it was a necessity to play her. You know, and the same happened when I read Don't Move, Non Ti Muovere, the other movie that we did together. Also, when I read that book, I called Sergio, said I have to play this character. I need to play her. I felt the same way with Gemma. And even if I felt I understood Gemma very well, it's true that after becoming a mother, the part that you understand farther, in a much deeper way, is what Gemma is missing, what Gemma is fighting for and is obsessing about and cannot get. Because you can understand it here, but until you go through that experience, you cannot understand it with the depth that you do when you become a mother. It's the, what she cannot have.
Question here.
Yes, Bruce Kirkland from the Toronto Sun. Question, two-part question, if that's okay.
No problem.
One for Penelope Cruz and the other for Sergio. Penelope Cruz, you have a really interesting phase in your career right now that's very international. I mean, if the reports are right, you're shooting a new movie in the future with Ridley Scott. You've just finished something with Pedro Almodovar. You seem to be his muse. And you have this particular very European story that's, based in it's rooted in a historical tragedy. And I'm curious what that gives you as an artist in terms of being able to explore so many different worlds. And for the director, what is the appeal of this wonderful woman in terms of you casting her in some of your films?
Who do you want to talk first?
Penelope, go first.
For me, that's another thing that I love about this profession. To be able to work in all these different countries and work in all these different languages, and being on a set like this one where we had like 7 languages on every day going on the set. It was crazy, but it was beautiful. And I've done a few projects like that where we shot like 4 different countries, but also there were people, part of the cast from other countries, and it's just, you get so used to hearing like really 7, 8 going on at the same time, and I love that, and I love being part of projects like this, even if I always want to keep working in my country and want to keep working in Spanish, because for many reasons, I will never stop doing that. And it's also very refreshing to be able to sometimes go back and work in my own language. Because in this one, even as much as I love that, it was a big challenge to shoot half of the movie in English, or 60-70% of the movie in English and the rest in Italian. But then the English had to have the Italian accent. So it was, I love those challenges, but I cannot say that was easy.
Sono innanzitutto un attore. Ogni tanto mi capita di fare il regista. Io sarò breve così tu puoi tradurre un pochino più velocemente, va bene?
Come vuoi tu.
No, sarò breve, dico, faccio dei piccoli paragrafi. Sono innanzitutto un attore e quando faccio il regista cerco innanzitutto una fortissima emozione, quasi un'emozione studentesca. Vai.
Well, I'm first and foremost an actor, and occasionally I'm able to be a director. When I am making a film as a director, I'm looking for very strong emotions, the kind of emotions that a student feels.
Con Penelope mi è capitato praticamente di fare le 2 esperienze più emozionanti, della mia carriera. In Don't Move ero addirittura, molto presente anche come attore, per cui era ancora più forte. Penelope ha le 2 maggiori qualità che un attore dovrebbe avere: è ambiziosa e umile. Penelope non ha mai paura di prendere dei rischi, e il maggior rischio che un attore che ha talento dovrebbe saper prendere è quello di rischiare sempre tutto, di domandarsi se ha veramente fatto il massimo che poteva fare per quella scena e per quel personaggio, anche rischiando il ridicolo. Quella è una grande grazia che che gli attori devono avere e che Penelope ha.
Yes, with regard to working with Penelope, I had two very thrilling, exciting, two of the most exciting and thrilling experiences in my life in my career as a filmmaker. Of course, Don't Move, where I was there as an actor, and so it was particularly strong for me. And I'm looking for two qualities that Penelope particularly has, which is ambition and humility. And for me, it's important for an actor to be able to take risks and to be willing and able to risk everything and to ask him or herself, did I give the best that I could, and did I do the best that I could in filming the scene? And of course, Penelope is the prime example of these two qualities that I look for very much. And she, like the actors I admire the most, is not afraid of looking ridiculous.
Now the question could be extended concerning the other actors. How did you cast the film? Why and how did you think of Emile to portray Diego? And no offense to you guys, but you're slightly lesser known than Penelope and Mr. Hirsch. How did you get on board? How did you find them, and how did you get on board, you all?
Io, come dire, la prima fortuna di questo film è aver avuto a disposizione il talento di attori straordinari. Penelope, prima di tutto, naturalmente. Emile, quando abbiamo pensato a questo personaggio, che è l'unico tradimento che facciamo del libro, perché nel libro il personaggio è italiano, e invece lo abbiamo trasformato in un personaggio di un'altra nazionalità. Io ho sempre pensato a Emile, l'avevo scoperto credo nel film in cui tutti l'hanno un po' conosciuto e scoperto, che è Into the Wild. Credo che la sua maggiore qualità sia di avere una sensualità mischiata a una timidezza che fa sì che quella sensualità abbia ancora più corpo, abbia ancora più meraviglia.
Yes, for me, the greatest fortune was to have extraordinary talents, whom you can see right here, primarily, of course, Penelope being the star and Emile. The only betrayal, the only departure from the book to the film is that Emile's character in the book is actually an Italian photographer. We transformed him into an American photographer, into a foreign photographer, specifically for him, because I love his work. Many of you, of course, knew him from Into the Wild, Sean Penn's film, and I thought he was so wonderful in that film. And he has two qualities that I admire immensely: his sensuality mixed in, commingled with his shyness, and his shyness confers a greater corpus, a greater wonder to his sensuality and to his skill.
Any reaction, Emile?
Adnan l'ho conosciuto. Sorry.
No, go ahead, sir. Sergio, go ahead.
Je peux?
Vous pouvez.
D'accord. Maintenant, je vais parler français. Adnan, je l'ai connu, je faisais des auditions à Sarajevo. C'était un des premiers acteurs que j'avais rencontré là. E j'étais folgoré. Si dice folgoré?
Sergio,
Fallo in italiano per lui.
I only translate Italian,
I'm sorry.
Sanskrit, or Klingon.
Scusa, vabbè, in italiano, dai.
Dai.
Hai capito, no?
Italiano, per favore,
Hai capito
grazie.
che ho detto?
No, sto guardando Henry.
Adnan l'ho conosciuto, è stato uno dei primi attori che ho incontrato quando ho fatto i primi sopralluoghi a Sarajevo. Abbiamo letto insieme una pagina del copione e sono rimasto folgorato da questa durezza che io ho ritrovato, come dire, ho immediatamente scoperto essere quella di Goico, perché che è una durezza apparente. Dietro questa durezza c'è quasi lo sguardo di un bambino, di un adolescente.
Yes, Adnan, I met in Sarajevo when we were location scouting there. We read the script together, and I was absolutely flabbergasted by his toughness, which is exactly the toughness that I was looking for in the Goico character. But this toughness is only an appearance, an outward integument, because inside there's a sweet heart, there's the delicacy and the kindness of a young boy, of an adolescent.
Un'altra delle qualità che dovrebbe avere un attore è il coraggio. Il talento non basta, bisogna avere coraggio. e Aska, Sadet, ne ha dimostrato tanto, perché Sadet ha dovuto recitare una delle scene più complicate, più difficili, che è quella dello stupro.
One of the qualities that an actor has to have is courage. It's not enough to have talent. You have to be brave. And Sadet Aska is actually, I want to speak about her because she has one of the most difficult scenes in the whole film. Of course, the rape scene.
Perché sapete, questo film credo che abbia molti livelli di lettura e fra le tante cose è anche un omaggio al dolore che le donne hanno subito durante quella guerra, ma che hanno subito e che subiscono in realtà storicamente in generale anche nei parchi delle nostre città oggi, fino a oggi. Ecco, fra le tante, come dire, possibilità di leggere questo film c'è anche questa, un atto direi di devozione verso il dolore che le donne hanno subito.
C'è anche quello di non avere figli, c'è anche quello di Gemma.
E anche quello di Gemma, certo, di non avere figli.
Il dolore dei figli?
Il dolore che in assoluto le donne hanno subito nelle guerre, nella vita e in quant'altro. E naturalmente poi il dolore di una donna che vive la sua menomazione del non avere figli appunto come una menomazione. Poi molte donne magari non la vivono come una menomazione.
This film can be interpreted in many different levels. One of the ways in which I would like to interpret this film and would like you to interpret it is as an homage to women who have suffered in the war, not only in this war but also historically, women who have suffered and continue to suffer in parks, in cities, every day. And this is one of the ways in which this film can be read as a form of devotion to the pain that women have endured throughout history and the pain that Gemma has endured in not being able to have children and feeling this as some kind of a handicap for her and this agony that she goes through.
Now the actor's reaction. Emil, how do you react to what's being said about you? And how did you get on board and how did you approach the character, basically?
I was sent the script and I read it and I just loved it. I knew Penelope was attached. And then I watched Don't Move and I just loved the work that Sergio and Penelope and Margaret all did on that movie. And I knew that with the same combination and group of people, this movie would be really special as well. And to get to work with Sergio and Margaret and Penelope was really a gift. To work with everybody. But the kind of when we would get together and work on the scenes, there was just a real creative collaboration. And even though we didn't all speak, the same language, we were able to communicate perfectly. Penelope and I, we got along really well. And I think one of the ways that we got along is we would always try to make each other laugh, and we would always be goofing around, sometimes too much, but the dynamic we had would make things light and would make us relaxed. And even if you're doing a really intense scene, sometimes being relaxed can help you get to the place you need to go to easier. But Sergio was great. He was really wild and crazy, but really sensitive and intelligent at the same time. He would sometimes get crazy though, but really passionate. And seeing the way him and Margaret would interact is really priceless too, because they're married, but they're also these collaborators creatively, and it's pretty rare, I would say.
Is that it, Adnan, Madame?
As far as Emil said, and I felt like I was in a family during the shoot, and Sergio said one of the most qualities that an actor has to have is courage. The set was the place where we can feel courageous as an actor. I felt totally confident with being there and working with the great actors and a great director and a great writer, Margaret. So for me, I think this film was everything great coming together in one place. So when all these pieces come together in a perfect sense, you don't have to do too much as an actor. You just have to go with the flow, and that's what I did.
Adnan. Adnane.
Grande. First, when I read the story, it made a really huge impact on me, because I said this woman must be from Sarajevo, or she lived there for a long time, like. And when I asked her, like, she was there just a few days, like, and she wrote a beautiful book. So realistic, so truthful, like she really knows about the people there, and work with Sergio, like Emil said, with with this wild first genius actor, then genius director, like his reactions between the action is like true. I want a true, like, and it was amazing. Have such a beautiful partners like Penelope Cruz, like Emil, like Serrat, like every day they were so much giving and supporting you. It was a beautiful, like you said, part of. I feel like a part of a family. He was a father, she was a mother, and we were their children, and really it was a great feeling.
Well, who was the most rebellious children of you all?
You have to ask father and mother.
Nous avons vécu dans une... Scusami. Scusa. Abbiamo vissuto, credo, 15 settimane in una sorta di apnea emotiva molto forte. Credo che gli attori possono confermarla, questa emozione. È stato molto faticoso, ma fare un film è faticoso. Però è anche uno straordinario privilegio, perché tu hai la possibilità di mettere le mani dentro l'immaginazione, i pensieri e quant'altro. Ecco, come dire, e non è soltanto un film, non è soltanto il film che hai fatto, ma è anche la memoria che lasci agli artisti che hanno lavorato con te. E credo che noi possiamo dire che abbiamo tutti un magnifico ricordo.
Yes, we lived 15 weeks of emotional apnea, very, very strong, very powerful apnea, and I hope the actors can confirm what I'm about to say, and that is, it was very laborious, because of course making a film is an extremely laborious endeavor, but it's also an extraordinary privilege, because you have to dip into your imagination, you have to dip into your thoughts and so on. But a film is not just a film that you create, it's also the memory that you leave behind for the people who have worked with you, and this magnificent memory that we have and that we share together.
Question over here.
Henri, this is two parts, first to Penelope and then to Emil. Penelope, when you talked about how you traveled to 4 different countries to shoot this film, but when you come to press conferences like this, and as a mom, can you explain to us a little bit about the cat and mouse game between the photographers and yourself, and do you sometimes have to make allowances, like, you know, sometimes perhaps you're caught off guard and you say, I'll come back in 5 minutes because they might catch you in a compromising position, or...
Wait. We're very far from the film now.
Very far away.
Yes. Can you make your question closer to a tweet? Go ahead.
125 characters. And then to Emil, I can only imagine what that family relationship was like. Did you guys just all speak different tongues and learn through osmosis?
Regards to, I mean, everyone, you know, like, was able to communicate through hand signals and smoke signals, and no. No, you know, communication happened, you know, English, translators, we made it happen, text, you know.
Translators on set.
I'm just kidding.
There you have it.
Although we actually do have some translators, yeah.
Well, was it an easy set, an easy shoot from the linguistic point of view, more accurately? Was there any kind of sometimes misunderstandings? Didn't quite get it, just because you speak French and Italian? and you understand certainly English but refuse to speak it in a public forum. You just understand and speak every single language known to man, Penelope, almost. Everybody sort of speaks several languages, but not always with the precision that acting requires and directing requires. So was it easy? Was it sometimes uneasy? Was there sometimes some kind of misunderstanding between the two of you, and which may bring things that are exceptional or not?
The words are not the first thing. I think that you can communicate with an actor also, keep her hands and say like this. And it's like say to a monologue. I think you can communicate with an actor, look her eyes, and or with your body, with a lot of you have a lot of opportunity for communicate with an actor. I don't think that the word is the. My English is not so perfect, but everybody understood.
Certainly everybody understands now.
Yeah, I know. But acting is a partitura. Come si dice partitura?
Music sheet.
Ecco, acting is a music.
Music sheet, musical
It's a
sheet.
music sheet.
Sheet.
Sheet, yes, sheet. Sheet.
Question over here. Le micro là-bas.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Oh, bonjour.
Hello, Ernesto Garrat from Chile. I speak Spanish. I'd like to ask Penelope if we can deep a little bit more about the relationship with the director during the set, because as you said, language was not a problem, and how is being director by Sergio Castellito? In your own words, thank you.
Yeah, I love talking about that, because really one of the most intense experiences that I had working as an actress was in Don't Move. And it was really, really intense, because he was also in every scene of the movie. And he had also written the script with Margaret, and he was the director. And I have never seen that level of concentration. It was really, really mind-blowing to watch. He would be with me like right here doing the most intense, dramatic scene, get out of it to tell the camera guy what he had to change, and then I talk to every department from this place, so he would not let go of me, so we would stay connected. Direct everybody, talk about all the changes, go to the next take, and the ability to go in and out of the scene. It was really a lesson for me, lesson in acting. That's what we all want, to be able to do this dance of coming in and out, because it becomes a much healthier way to work, especially when you are dealing with characters like these ones that go through so much and that you have to confront so much pain and so much darkness. I prefer to be able to do it in a way where every day, a few times a day, you are coming in and out. And for me, he's been the person that does that better than anybody, and I saw that in that movie, because he had no choice. He was directing it, but he did it in a brilliant way. So for me, that experience was really, really special in my life. It was so much more than making a movie, and I just have all my respect for him and for Margaret. She's one of my favorite writers in the world. She's incredible. And I read this other book, and again, the same thing happened. I called them, and like I said before, I could not stop thinking about this woman and about this story. And I had a million questions for her. And again, it has been a very intense experience, because this movie was, a lot of work for all of us and for every department, a really, really intense adventure. But everybody wanted to put their heart into it. It's not, sometimes it's just the cast and the director that are talking about the project in terms about like really caring about the story. Here, you talk to every single person of every department on the set, and they were all as in love with the characters, with the story, felt a responsibility about some of the subjects that the movie talks about, and it's really beautiful to be working, feeling that you are really part of a team and that everybody really cares and that everybody really feels so lucky to be part of the project. And I cannot say that that happens in every movie. Of course it doesn't. It happens sometimes. And in this one it was like that. And I think it was the only way to, it was easy to start this movie, it was very hard to finish it, right? If every single person in this crew wouldn't have had that passion, I don't think we would have been able to finish this movie.
True. Vero. One of the most beautiful souvenirs that I have, if I think about the shooting, is to see Penelope sit down on a chair with a book and with a little pencil, writing. And I think that she was on the set most with the book than with the script.
Yeah.
It became like come si dice, una Bibbia.
A Bible.
Like a Bible.
And also we were so lucky to have Margaret on the set, because
Yeah.
that's very rare to have the author there and giving us so much time and dedication and answering every single question. And she was always there from 6 in the morning until the end of the day, every single day.
I was lucky and I was worried as well with her.
Yeah, it can be risky, but it was great.
The microphone to the gentleman here.
Hello, me again. This is a two-part question. The first one is for Pietro. The other one is for Penelope. Pietro, how was working with your father? And he pays well. How is it? How is he as a boss? And Penelope, I would like to know.
One step at a time. Pietro.
No, ho avuto la fortuna che parlava italiano e quindi ci siamo capiti.
I was lucky enough to speak Italian so he could understand me.
Sì, mi ha dato molti consigli, e poi comunque io tornavo a casa con loro, diciamo, e quindi il film non finiva mai, esatto, durava anche la notte, e quindi li sentivo spesso discutere a proposito del film, e questo ha fatto sì che mi rendessi conto di quanto questo film abbia contato per loro e contava, appunto. E poi sì, era una sorta di luogo dei loro dubbi, perché spesso mio padre mi dava un consiglio e mia madre un altro.
Di nascosto.
Alberto?
Yes, of course, my father gave me a lot of suggestions in preparing for this character and in my acting. And then, of course, I would come home to them. And so for me, the film never really ended, because I could hear them talking about the film and discussing it. And so I understand how much they love it and how much they loved it during the shoot and afterwards. But this also caused some doubts for me, because my father would give me one advice and my mother would give me the opposite advice. So I was confused as to what I was supposed to do.
And Penelope, the other question is, with all the languages that you have worked in films, do you want, or have you ever looked for some other language, like maybe working in some film like Japanese or Mandarin or something, or have you ever...
Imagine I say yes.
Yeah. Have you ever received an offer that you have rejected because of the language in a film?
No. But I love accents. Now that I'm more comfortable with the English language, I would love to play a British accent, because I have a character that it's really funny, but I can't talk about it, but it's going to play with a British accent, and I also would love to play a Valley girl.
A Valley girl?
Someday.
I hope I'll see that. I'm afraid our time is up. Thank you very much for being here. Congratulations for the film. Thank you all.
Very much.